if by now you haven't realized, building your own SSD from scratch using an NVMe is going to be amazing. There's a few benefits to this, and primarily it's just the speeds that you get when transferring, and also it's the SSL cache, which basically just allows your transfer to keep up throughout the whole transfer process rather than the drive actually slowing down after say 100 gigs or something like that. So an NVMe is going to be the best way to do this. I'm going to show you what I'm using, and by the way, all of these links are going to be below. This isn't a technical like review on like how fast they actually perform. I'll be doing a speed test through the Blackmagic speed test using my MacBook Pro 14-inch with the regular M1 Pro processor. It's the base model, so it's got the 16 gigs of RAM. So we'll be testing all of these with this computer individually. We'll also be testing the SanDisk Extreme Pro. This is a 2 terabyte drive, and it's the updated version, which claims a maximum of 2000 megabytes per second. So obviously you'll never get that, but this is a good comparison. I feel like a lot of people own this drive, so it'll be good to do it with this. In front of me, I've got 3 NVMe drives, and I'll leave the link down below so you guys can check them out and look at all the specs. But I've got the SK Hynix Platinum, I've got the SK Hynix Gold, and I've also got the Samsung 970 EVO Plus. I didn't go with the Pro because I heard that the Plus is actually a little bit faster and it doesn't heat up as much. So we'll test all of that. I'm not going to test the heating stuff, but I'll feel it and see how it actually feels compared to the rest. Okay, I've also picked up this TechQ Super Veloce Thunderbolt 3 SSD enclosure, and there's a 2 terabyte SSD inside of this, and we'll test this out of the box just like it is and compare it to these other drives here on the MacBook Pro. So let's unbox this really quick and give it a shot and see what kind of speeds we're getting. Oh Lord, look at all this glue on this. Let's take this out of the box. I'm gonna put the box to the side, this cover to the side, and right away we have this really nice enclosure. Okay, let's grab our Thunderbolt 3 cable and plug this in. I'm gonna pull up our Blackmagic speed test somewhere. There it is. And I have no clue what that says, so whatever. Let's verify that it is indeed a 2 terabyte drive, and it is. You can see right here, capacity 2 terabytes, available 2 terabytes, and it's formatted as an exFAT. We're gonna format this afterwards, but I want to test it just like this out of the box and see what kind of speeds we get. So we're gonna select that drive there. And we're gonna go ahead and start the speed test. Okay, wow, right away you can see 1649 megabytes a second, and read is 1915 megabytes a second. That's impressive, knowing that this TechQ drive is actually just a few bucks more expensive than the SanDisk Extreme Pro, which is a great drive, but I have not seen those speeds with this drive ever. And this is a stock drive that comes with this unit. We'll find out to see what drive is actually in here, but I am loving these speeds. You can see right here, we can edit ProRes, Blackmagic RAW at up to 8K, no problem using this drive. Obviously the computer is going to be a different factor, but the drive is not going to be our bottleneck for that. I'm going to go ahead and stop this speed test because we're seeing very consistent speeds with write and read. I'm going to go ahead and format this to an APFS. So I'm going to call this TechQ SSD, erase, Perfect. So now you can see we formatted that, and the name is up here. We're waiting for this to finish up so that we can go ahead and retest and see what we get. Okay, let's select our drive again. And let's run another speed test. At this time, I've formatted the drive to an APFS format, which is for Mac only. And let's see what we get. Wow, okay, right away, even better than we did before it was on an exFAT format. We're seeing 1800, 1900 right, and let's see, 1800 read. That's incredible. So we've automatically increased the speed of this drive just by formatting it using Apple's APFS format, and that we're seeing consistent, incredible results at this point. So I'm really impressed with this so far. Obviously, I haven't used it, so only time will tell. But as you can see right now, literally out of the box, this is my first time testing it and seeing the speeds, and I am really, really impressed. Okay, we're gonna stop this and we're gonna copy over a 30 gig, 29 gig file over to this SSD. I'm just gonna drag and drop, and I want to see how long it actually takes for this drive to for this file to transfer over to the file. So let's do that now. I'm gonna drag and drop. Okay, about 12 or 13 seconds, which isn't bad. I've got the SanDisk Extreme Pro 2TB SSD drive, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna test the same thing. We're gonna select the drive. We're gonna start the speed test. And as you can see, 974, 75, which is still great. I think no one's gonna be complaining about this, but yeah, these are great speeds. But we were seeing almost twice as much on the previous drive, which is I think $40 to $50, a little bit more than this. So I don't know, is it worth it? It's hard now. It's hard to justify it when I'm seeing way better speeds on that drive. And what we're gonna do is transfer that same file over to this drive and see how long it takes. Wow, almost twice as much as the previous drive. That's insane. I'm gonna eject this drive from the computer, and we're gonna move on and start building our other drives. Okay, so let's go over what drives we have here. First off, we've got the Samsung 970 EVO Plus, and this is, I believe, a Gen 3, yes, a PCIe Gen 3. And so is the SK Hynix Gold, which is right here. Nope, it's right here. And this is also a Gen 3 drive. So these two are, I'm very curious to see how they perform next to each other. Now the SK Hynix Platinum is an NVMe Gen 4 drive, so it's going to outperform these two supposedly. So I'm gonna leave that one towards the end and see how these two compare to each other side by side first. Starting with the Samsung 970 EVO Plus. At the time of this recording, the Samsung 970 EVO Plus 2TB drive is $219.99 on Amazon, and I will leave a link down below, so that if you want to get it, it helps me and it helps this channel at no extra cost to you, and that goes for any other of the drives or enclosures or anything else. So $219, which is a great deal for a 2TB NVMe drive. Let's see how it performs, but first we've got to build it. Okay, so this whole time I've noticed that my face was not in focus. That's because I had the focus point somewhere out here, I think. But I should be in focus now. Okay, we've got the 970 Evo Plus, and we've got this enclosure, which is the Konyid USB 4.0 PCIe M.2 NVMe SSD enclosure. Oh my goodness, that's a mouthful. Okay, it is a Thunderbolt 4 compatible with Thunderbolt 3 with 40 gigabytes per second. So I'm curious to see how this performs using any of these drives, and we'll be using the same enclosure for all of these drives. Okay, it comes in a little foam thing, which is awesome. Some instructions here. And here we have the enclosure, and it feels really nice. It's just aluminum, and I feel like this is gonna dissipate that heat very, very well. We've got a Thunderbolt cable here, and we'll use the Thunderbolt cable that comes with the enclosure. We've got a screwdriver, and then we have looks like a USB-C to USB-A. Okay, we have the little rubber feet, and we have a heat sink here along with the screw for the NVMe. First, you're gonna want to take these screws out, and they're super small, so be careful. I would do this in a place where you can drop them and not lose them. By the way, this enclosure, you can find it on Amazon, and it's $179.99. Yes, I know that's a lot, but you're paying the price for Thunderbolt 4, which is probably the fastest way to connect an SSD to your computer. We're gonna go ahead and slide this in, and this is the Samsung Evo Pro or Evo Plus, and you're gonna want to angle it and then lay it down. So it's gonna stand up by itself, but you're gonna lay it down, and we're gonna use the screw that was included. We're gonna go ahead and put this little screw there, and now we're gonna use this heat sink, but we're gonna try to avoid touching the bottom. It doesn't matter, I just don't want any of my finger grease getting on there. You don't really need to take the sticker off from the NVMe, but you do have to take the plastic things off the heatsink. So I'm gonna close this just to replicate what it would feel like when this is actually shut all the way. There we go. We're gonna connect this with our Thunderbolt cable to the computer, and then we should see a light. There we go. You can see a green light indicating us that it is in fact connected. The disk you attached was not readable by this computer. So if you have an issue with any of these drives, I would highly suggest that you go in Disk Utility, format it to your computer so that it performs and it reads properly. Let's check to see that this is actually a 2 terabyte drive, which it is. You can see it there, and this is formatted to APFS, which is for Macs only. Let's go ahead and test the speed of this. So we'll select the drive that we want to test, and there it is, the Samsung. Open and start. Wow, okay, this is insane. If you look at the speed test right now, 2,800 on the write, 2,600 on the read. We have consistent write speeds of 2,800 and read speeds around 2,680 or somewhere around that, which is insane. So let's go ahead and stop this speed test. And I went ahead and recorded what we saw with this drive using the Konyid enclosure. Let's go ahead and move this 29 gigs of footage and files over to the Samsung and see how long it takes. Wow, that was really fast. So around 5 to 7 seconds, depending on when you started counting. That's blazing fast, 30 gigs in that little bit of time. So let's take this drive out. And right now it feels warm, but it's not hot. It feels just like the SanDisk would after a few transfers and stuff like that. So I'm really happy with that. We're gonna try the SK Hynix Gold now. There it is. Let's go ahead and hook it up to the same cable. Wait for that light. Boom, there it is. And the same thing, we're getting that error message. This disk you attached was not readable by this computer. We're going to format this drive. It'll do its thing, and then we'll speed test this drive. In the meantime, let me know in the comments, is there something that you saw in this video that you were just shocked? And are you going to be getting something like this or a custom drive? Okay, perfect. This is done. And we can see it right there. We're gonna go ahead and select this drive as our target drive and run the speed test. Oh, wow. Okay, I was not expecting this. This drive is running really slow, but it's reading really fast. This does not make sense right now. Yeah, the read speeds are consistent, but the write speeds are just terrible. Stop the test here, and we're gonna do the transfer test of these 29 gigs. Around 11 seconds, which is not bad. So I'm not sure what's happening with the write speeds here. Okay, let's eject this drive and move on to the next. Now that I've seen how the gold performs, I'm really curious to see how this one performs. Okay, so we've got the platinum on here, and it is the most expensive drive that we have. That one is $259 with 99 cents currently on Amazon. Links below. We went ahead and put on the heatsink, so let's go ahead and close this. This one, it says it's up to 7,000 megabytes, so I am really curious to see how this performs, since we just saw how this Hynix Gold performed kind of poorly. Let's hook it up. And there's our light. And again, we've got that error. And I feel like we've gotten that error with everything. So let's see what happens when we initialize. We're gonna click erase and hit erase one more time. And there's our drive showing up so that we can go ahead and speed test it. Let's go ahead and select our drive. And we're gonna start the speed test. Wow, I am very shocked on how these are performing. It's very similar, but also not. We're getting almost twice as much as, over twice as much as the gold with this one on write, but the read is insanely fast. The write is just doing a really poor job. Okay. Now you can see that we're getting those high speeds at the moment. So that is really weird. I'm not sure what's happening, but now it's picking up and it is actually moving and doing what it's supposed to do. I wonder if it just takes some time for it to learn kind of what it's supposed to do on a new format, or I don't know. I'm just speed testing and seeing the results. Okay, we're gonna stop this test. And we're gonna move footage over and see how long that takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About 6 seconds, which is not bad. And it's actually what we saw with the 970. So this was really impressive because the 970 is cheaper than the Platinum. And it is a Gen 3. So I'm not sure what is going on. We're gonna try to reformat this Platinum drive and see what we get with a regular Mac OS format. Okay, so now we've got it on a Mac OS extended format, and let's see what happens. And we're still getting those low speeds. I am not sure what is happening or what to think of this at this moment, so I'm going to dismiss this drive and this drive, and we're actually going to check out What's inside that first enclosure that I was talking about? Yeah, this doesn't make sense. The speeds keep going up. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, stop this test. That, I've got to say, I was really surprised. I didn't see that one coming, and I don't know if I can recommend any of these two Hynix drives, and I've heard great things about them, but it wasn't the case right now. Here we have our TechQ drive, which is an enclosure with an SSD already in it. I want to open it up and see what we have in here, but before I do that, let's run the speed test and let's go ahead and see how fast this one is. So there it is, our TechQ SSD. We're gonna select that one as our target drive, and we're gonna run a speed test. Wow, okay. What is going on? You know what? I think something different might be happening. So I'm gonna close this and I'm gonna open it again. Let's find our TechQ drive and start this. I don't know what was happening, so we're actually gonna go back and retest this drive and the gold. So the platinum and the gold. Because now we're seeing really great speeds, and I'm gonna put this one here as well. We're seeing 1900 write and about 1860 on read, which is amazing for the price of this, because you don't have to buy the enclosure. You buy the drive and the enclosure and it is blazing fast. Let's transfer this footage one more time. Okay, about 12 seconds, which is not bad. This is actually really good. So let's go ahead and eject this drive here. This is the platinum drive in here. I want to retest it now that I've restarted the speed test. Right away, you can see that it was way faster and it didn't hesitate like it did on the very first time we ran it. So now I'm curious, were we doing something wrong, and is this drive actually really good? So let's test that. We're gonna test this drive once again with the same method by closing out Blackmagic speed test and then opening that back up. Second speed test, and this one is going to be a write of 2282. Wow. And 2863 on the read, which is insane because we were getting 499 and then 26. That is a relief, knowing that this drive is actually performing well. Let's stop this test. Let's move this file over once again and see how long it takes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, something like that, which is really good. Where our TechQ got up to 12 or 13, this one was about 7 seconds, which is really fast. And now we're gonna put in the gold drive. This was the platinum. It still hasn't outperformed the Samsung Evo Plus, which is insane because that is a Gen 3 NVMe and this is a Gen 4. So I don't know what's happening. We're gonna take this out here and we're gonna grab the gold NVMe. Boom. Okay, we're gonna open up our speed test, select our drive, and let's run this test. Wow. Okay, so on the gold, we're still seeing, oh, I made a mistake here. So this is the speed test for the platinum. On the gold, we're seeing 422 megabyte write, which is worse than we saw before. And now the read speeds are even worse at 1400 with 2626. I've got to say, maybe we weren't doing anything wrong and these speeds are true. So let's stop this test and actually move that footage over to this folder or to this drive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. This drive took about 28 to 30 seconds to transfer 30 gigs. That is really good, but at the same time, we've saw a lot better with these other drives. I'm a little sketched out on the Hynix Platinum and really the Hynix brand for these NVMe's. I've got to say that the Samsung has been impressive, and let's test it one more time, make sure we're getting those same read speeds and write speeds, because 2800 and 2680 is just insane. Before we do that, let's test out our SSD Extreme Pro one more time. Eject this disk. Okay, so here it is. We're gonna go ahead, select this drive, and start our test. As you can see, we're getting the same 900 write and about 900 read, which is fine. And now let's go ahead and stop this speed test and transfer that file over. Okay, so about 26 seconds, which is fine, because these are great drives, by the way. I still use a bunch of them. I personally would like to have something like this where I can exchange the actual hard drive without having to buy a drive. So if I want to upgrade, having the TechQ is a perfect way to do it, because it's also a Thunderbolt. So this is an insanely great drive for the money. If you're looking for a drive, go for the TechQ as your all-in-one kind of prefabricated. If you don't feel comfortable changing out drives into enclosures and stuff like that, this TechQ is going to be the best bang for your buck. I would choose it over the SanDisk, but that's just me. I was really impressed with this TechQ drive. But let's go ahead and test the Samsung drive once again. Let's close it. Let's plug it in. Okay, so there's our drive. Let's select it from our target source. And as we tested this previously, we saw a write of 2800 and read about 2600, which is amazing. So let's see if we see those speeds one more time. And we do. Wow, right away. This is insane. I am super impressed with this Samsung drive. it is killing it. It outperformed the rest of the drives. Right now you can get the Samsung 2TB drive for $219. This is not the Pro, this is the Plus, which is just mind-blowing that it beat a Gen 4 Platinum Hynix SK drive. That is amazing. I'm not happy with the Hynix, with the SK drives. I think Samsung definitely has the upper hand with this, and we are still seeing consistent results with this Samsung. Let's stop the speed test and let's drop this footage over here. In about 6 to 7 seconds, that was done. Compared to 25-30 seconds, I know it may seem like a little bit, but if you're transferring 500-600 gigs of footage, that is going to be a lot of time saved without, you know, just waiting on drives to transfer over. I'm definitely going to give the edge to the Samsung drive over these SK drives and over the TechQ drive. So if you want the absolute best drive, you're gonna have to get this Hynix Enclosure with the Samsung drive, and you're gonna be at around $400 for that drive. So yes, you're paying a lot more, but it's definitely worth it. Now that we've determined that the Samsung drive with the Hynix Enclosure is the best and the second is the TechQ, we're gonna go ahead and swap drives. So I want to see how they perform with different enclosures. We're gonna select our target drive as the Samsung SSD and start the speed test. And again, it is just blazing fast. Like, it is cutting through no problem. I do see a little bit of just speed limitations, which is not a problem because it's still reading 2600 at write and 24 at read, but we were getting 28 write on the Hynix Enclosure, and I think it has to be because of the Thunderbolt 3 versus Thunderbolt 4. But at the same time, I'm not complaining. I think this is amazing. Let's go ahead and stop this and transfer over. Let's delete that folder and transfer it over. So let's empty this. Here we go. 2, 3. So about the same amount, 7 to 8 seconds, which is totally fine. I think that is amazing. And there is obviously not a huge difference if you're using this TechQ enclosure or this enclosure. I would say the TechQ is a perfect drive with enclosure with the drive that it comes with, but if you want the absolute best, go with the Samsung Plus with the Hynix enclosure, and you're not going to regret it. It is the fastest. It is expensive, so you're clocking it around $400 US at the time of this recording, but it's worth it. So it's totally up to you. I was in the market for a hard drive, more specifically an SSD. So I picked up the SanDisk, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna build my own drive and I'm gonna see how it actually performs. So I love that I have the Samsung with the Hynix enclosure. I actually bought a few of them, which I'm excited to actually get them and start working with them. I will definitely do a follow-up video at some point in the future, maybe an update video of these drives, but I'll also go over my real world use of the Samsung with the Hynix enclosure and kind of see how it actually performs in the long run, because right now these are just initial performance, you know, write and read speeds that we're looking at, but it might be different down the road. So take this whole thing with a grain of salt, use it however you want, and I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this benefits some of you guys. Other than that, make sure that you check out all the links in the description below. I'll have links to all of this, all the drives that we tested, and the one that I'd recommend if you're starting, and the absolute best one that we tested today. Yeah, other than that, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you on the next one.